There has been a raging debate over whether this channel is, in fact, a front for a group called Jesus Christians, which supposedly, quote, imploded about 10 years ago after a lot of heavy flack from their opponents. Ironically, Voice in the Desert has, in the last 3 years, achieved a much higher worldwide profile than the group called Jesus Christians ever managed to achieve in a history that was many times longer than that. Consequently, people would write to me and say, "Aha, gotcha! I know the truth about who you really are. You're the Jesus Christians." And then I would ask them what they knew about the Jesus Christians, and they had to admit that they knew absolutely nothing. They had never heard of the Jesus Christians before someone said that it was who we really are. Now, what is probably more embarrassing to me personally than having anyone discover a link between me and the Jesus Christians is just that I said in the first video on the teachings of Jesus on this channel that I did not have an organization to promote. And I really did not. Because the old Jesus Christians had not just ceased to exist, but the former members of the group had simply ceased to win new members. We had more or less given up trying to promote a group. But, despite my claim, a group has grown out of this channel, and it is already bigger than the Jesus Christians ever were. So let's back up. My wife and I founded the Jesus Christians in Australia many years ago, and what we taught and believed then is pretty much the same as what we believe and what we have been teaching on A Voice in the Desert since its inception in 2016. Most of the people working with us now have a concept of a group called Jesus Christians. In fact, what has grown out of this YouTube channel hasn't had any name so far. We're just a bunch of people who are trying to follow the teachings of Jesus. But our numbers are growing. Some of the former members of the Jesus Christians left what they were doing in order to offer leadership to this growing number of people who responded to the message here on A Voice in the Desert. At the same time that new members themselves also developed into leaders almost overnight. Even in the vacuum between 2010 and 2016, there was academic research going on in the background, trying to trace the various connections between the Jesus Christians, which eventually led to another YouTube channel called End Time Survivors. I appeared on that channel as Brother Dave, and the channel itself featured contributions from people who were just friends and viewers and not members of any organization associated with me. In 2018, an academic in Australia was asked to prepare a paper on exactly who the Jesus Christians are, were, or will be for the World Religions and Spirituality Project set up by Commonwealth University in Virginia, USA. That paper is widely recognized as the most thorough and accurate examination of all that we have done and believe, which has been published anywhere in the world. On screen now is a link where you can go and read it for yourself. In short, the Jesus Christians, quote, imploded in 2010, partly as a result of an internet campaign to smear our name and steer anyone searching for us to hate sites, which were riddled with lies and innuendos that were aimed at scaring people away from us. Some of the same people involved in that hate campaign have since discovered the similarities in beliefs being promoted by this channel, and so they have started yet another hate campaign against A Voice in the Desert. But we are a bit older and wiser now, and more prepared to weather such abuse. And so we have started to spruce up the old Jesus Christian website, updating the various links and repairing glitches, so that those people working with us now can go there and pour through the archives to gather information on those early days of our history. People who have joined us over the past few years are now adjusting to the name Jesus Christians, and will be appearing on our forum to share their thoughts with others both inside and outside of the movement that has now assumed the previously discarded name Jesus Christians. The name was originally chosen by me and others of the original Jesus Christians after many years of just calling ourselves Christians. From the start, we had wanted to communicate through a name what it was that we most stood for, and that was our commitment to Christ above all other personalities and ideologies. Christians, or disciples of Christ, seemed the most biblical descriptions of what we stood for. But both terms had become corrupted by centuries of hypocrisy and outright opposition to all that Jesus taught by those who used those names. Nevertheless, we discovered that when we use the name Jesus, the general public tends to stop thinking so much about organized religion and to picture a man, Jesus of Nazareth, the carpenter's son. This same man had said that in the last days there would be many false Christs, and by implication, there have arisen many false Christians, following those distortions of what the real Jesus taught. Of course, it is no guarantee of authenticity for us to call ourselves Jesus Christians any more than it is to call ourselves Christians, but that longer name does go much closer to identifying which Christ it is that we are really trying to follow. The Jesus Christ, the historical Jesus of the four Gospels, not some imaginary Christ of the churches, one who does everything for you, any way you want it, and makes no demands on you in return. So, there you have it for whatever it's worth. We here on A Voice in the Desert are calling ourselves Jesus Christians, and we have a website called jesuschristians.com, where you can discover for yourself how this group began, what it has done in the past, but more importantly, what it is doing now, today. Please come and share with us on our forum as we attempt to get to know you better. We look forward to your presence.